week of my 2 week suspension. It's kind of flying by because I'm still going live on this channel or whatever. But yeah, we're making it work. We're growing. Couldn't do it without you guys. So I just want to thank you for all that. And I'm really excited because I actually have some positive news stories for you guys today. So let's just get right into it. Let me move the screen over here. Let's just jump right in, guys. Let's have some fun today. Check this out. Look at this epic troll. Thank you to whoever put that in the comment. Somebody put it in the chat and I had to look it up right before the start of this stream. Look at this photo op right here. Look at Grandpa in Chief right here with these young children, which thank God he's not sniffing them. But look at the apparel here. We got a MAGA hat, we got a Trump hat, we got a I'll be back shirt. I mean, this just shows you everything that's going on in the country right now. Nobody likes this guy. Literally nobody likes this guy except for elitist snobs and people that don't want to admit that they made a huge mistake voting for him. So you love to see it. He's being trolled. He's being harassed. He's being heckled. He's being shouted at. The F Biden chants are continuing. You love to see it. Sorry for the profanity, guys. Actually, I won't even play it. You guys, you don't need to hear 2-minute video of people saying that. But I just wanted to point out it's continuous. I had a feeling it wouldn't just stop after 1 week, right? Because there were certain college stadiums that didn't shout it the first week. And now you're seeing it all across college football. You see in this video here. And it's not just college football stadiums. It's concerts. It's just anywhere people are gathering. They're voicing their displeasure for Biden. No matter what you think about the profanity, that's really not all that important when the people who are chanting this are who you would think would be Biden's most ardent supporters, right? He got 81 million votes. Wink, wink, honk, honk. He got 81 million votes. So how is it that at these seemingly left-wing events where they're super politicized anyway, so you assume it only appeals to a left-wing audience, right? They're chanting F Joe Biden. So I personally feel like it's a positive thing because people are waking up to what this man has done to our country in 9 months. 9 months, that's it. We're only 9 months into this nightmare. And you've got people, I mean, I don't recall college stadiums chanting that for Trump. Matter of fact, Trump got the opposite. This is what it looks like when Trump shows up to a college football event. Y'all remember this? This was the national championship, I believe. Turn it down just a little bit. But yeah, listen to that. Oh, what are they chanting there? What are they chanting? You love to see it. So that's how it was when, Trump was in office. When Trump shows up to an event, and I should have pulled up the video of him at the boxing match over the weekend because he got the same amount of standing ovation chants saying, "We love Trump." You've obviously seen it at the rallies. "We love Trump." I mean, it's painfully obvious who won, who's popular, who has the enthusiasm, who has the support in this country. And on the total opposite end, who has the disdain, who is despised, who can't go anywhere without getting heckled, trolled by kids showing up like, "Hey, look, grandpa doesn't get the joke," right? People chanting at college stadiums. I mean, this is great. I think it's great news. People are waking up. I'm moving through the tabs, so I got to close them down. Other great news, speaking of football, the Oakland Raiders, you get woke, you go broke. Now, they play tonight on Monday Night Football, for those of you that care, right? Their ticket prices are down 55% ever since they announced the vaccine mandates. They mandated that every fan that attends a Las Vegas Raiders game this year in their stadium will have to show proof of vaccination. And they even went so far because they're trying to salvage. They knew they were going to lose money. They try to salvage the what would be bad optics if people are like, "Fine, I just won't go in." They're offering vaccinations on the spot. When's the last time you see someone like show up to a concert and they're like, yeah, let me just get this immunization real quick before I go in and have a good time? It's not that serious, but that's the length they're willing to go to get people vaccinated and show the rest of the NFL. Look at us. Look how moral we are. Look how much we care about public health. So as a result of this, their ticket prices are down 55%. Now, this is a primetime game, Monday Night Football. It's the only game that's going to be televised. But now there is a surge of supply, but the demand shrank. So the ticket prices have gone down. Now, they probably already made their money, because technically the tickets were sold. These are just resales, but still, the people are making their voices heard. People are showing, voting with their dollars, not supporting this woke propaganda anyway. I mean, it's one thing if a business or an organization or a sports league wants to involve themselves and be active in politics, which I think is kind of a mistake, generally speaking. But if you're going to do it, at least don't pick sides. They only push one political message. They push a left-wing political message, oftentimes based on a false narrative, right? Especially the main one being BLM, and then you got the segregated national anthem. So this is great to see. I love to see it. I wish their stadium would be empty tonight, but unfortunately, there's probably still going to be people there. But if football used to be a pastime, which I still think is worth fighting for. College football is not politicized, but pro football is very much politicized, but it's an American pastime. I grew up watching it. I love games. I love the sports, the football, all of it. And it's part of American culture that I think is worth fighting for instead of surrendering it to this far left garbage, because the majority of the people that watch football are conservative. And if they're not really politically active, they still don't support the left-wing messages. And that's why you see the ratings have dropped, sales prices have dropped, merch sales have dropped. All of it has dropped because they're pushing this indoctrination. But nonetheless, the Oakland Raiders losing out on ticket sales, and I assume this is going to affect them throughout the whole season, especially as they suck as an organization and a team. But on top of their crappy product that they put on the field, they want you to take a big pharma injection on your way in the door. Don't think that's going to go so well. Another good news. This is another great headline. Roe versus Wade is dead in Texas and soon the rest of the U.S., some experts say. Now, what they're talking about in this article is that basically because the Supreme Court won't weigh in on the Texas abortion heartbeat bill, they've set the stage for Roe v. Wade and abortion to no longer be federally protected, which is a good thing. It's a great thing. I mean, they're basically kicking it back to the states. But is Roe v. Wade technically dead? Well, no, not even in Texas. I mean, honestly, the Texas abortion bill doesn't go long enough. Doesn't go far enough because they're saying you can basically have an abortion up until 6 weeks. But in reality, what they should do is ban it altogether. And I would love to see all 50 states ban it altogether. I really hope that one day we look back on abortion the same way we look back on slavery. That's how it is. I think it's just as bad, if not worse, than slavery, because you're dealing with unborn children who have no voice, no ability to fight, no ability to protect themselves. I don't want to really go too far into it, but you get my point here. This is a good headline. Experts are concerned that Roe v. Wade is going to cease to exist. And I just love to see a headline like this. And Texas leading the way. I always talk about how Florida's leading the way. Texas is leading the way on this. And I don't think Texas is even the first state to pass a heartbeat bill. It's just the one that's getting the most attention right now. So that's a good headline. Another good headline for you guys. UK drops plans for vaccine passports and lockdown rules as COVID cases continue to rise. Now, that last part right there, as COVID cases continue to rise, I think is important because it shows that they, at least temporarily, are gesturing as if, in spite of rising cases, they want to move back to normal. It's not like, oh, we're going to back off passports and lockdowns because cases are falling, because that really only sends the message that, well, if cases go back up, it's back on the table. So in spite of cases rising, they're rolling it back. So I'm not completely bought in on this idea that they have no plan to roll out vaccine passports and lockdown rules. I'll have to look more into this, but just the fact that they've hit the pause button tells me that must be a shakeup. There must be something happening because each country is having their own internal battle, a power struggle between whatever deep state globalist plants they have embedded in their government and the true resistance, the true opposition, whether it's in the military, in the government, or just civilian backlash. They're having a lot of protests. And I think that's why this is being put on hold, because why else would they stop this? And I believe Boris Johnson is the one that's, spearheading this. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to be something to watch going forward, but that's how you get it done. If the resistance, the protest, the backlash is strong and fierce enough without being violent, got to say that. But if it's big and strong, fierce enough, and loud enough, then they have no choice. They have to roll it back. They cannot control us without consent. So you love to see that out of the UK. We'll see if other countries can follow suit, especially in Europe. I feel like UK kind of leads whatever goes on in Europe, but who knows? Because there's countries like Scotland that already doing the vaccine passports. I don't know. This is just a pretty good story, pretty good headline. If you guys want to check any of this stuff out, I should really put links in the chat or in the description, but these are all headlines. I mean, you can easily just search it. That's what I do, is search it and it pops right up. Okay, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of what I'm going to talk about here. Okay, this is the tale of two narratives. Okay, over the weekend, September 11th, you had two competing narratives. First narrative is former President Trump absent from the 20th anniversary of 9/11 ceremony in his own city. Now, off top, that looks like, look how bad he is. Look how much he doesn't care about the tragedy that happened on 9/11. Nobody who's honest with two brain cells to rub together thinks that or believes that. But for partisans like whoever this guy is, Dave Ketanso or whatever on Twitter, for his audience, for his viewers, this is red meat. They're like, oh, look how bad Orange Man is. Look how much he doesn't care about the people who lost their lives on 9/11. He won't take this corny, meaningless photo op with globalist elites, war criminals. I mean, look at this photo. You got the Obamas, the Clintons, the Bidens, and the Bushes. That's who Trump decided not to be in a photo op with. By the way, do they like him? How would that look if he was there? They would then come up with a news story like, oh, look, Trump fails to shake George W. Bush's hand, or obvious tension. They just continue. They would just go with another storyline if he did decide to show up. So what was Trump doing instead of taking this stupid photo op with a bunch of fully vaccinated, double-masked, elite career politicians? Well, he was visiting with the NYPD and fire department of New York City on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. He surprised them. He showed up. There were speeches. There were photos. I mean, he went to a firehouse. I saw him at a police precinct, and everyone there had a smile on their face. Everybody was excited to see Trump. So instead of Trump going to take pictures with career politicians, like, look at us, look how deeply we feel about 9/11, he actually went to meet with the first responders. The first responders who back then had a hard time, had a hard job, very difficult job, and now have a very hard time and difficult job as they're being demonized, thrown under the bus, told they need to resign or get fired if they don't get the big pharma shot. So Trump decides to go hang out with the people, something Biden literally cannot do. Biden cannot go anywhere in this country right now and be amongst the people without being met with opposition. People who do not support him, which is the majority of the country. That is a fact. Majority of the country. If it's not a fact, where are his supporters? Why doesn't Biden drive through a city and see, we love you, Biden? How come no one's mowing "We love Joe Biden" in their lawn as he flies over? Why does Joe Biden, if it's true that Joe Biden got 81 million votes and everyone loves him and he's healing and building back better and he's an amazing, popular president, how come he himself is upset? I don't have the video, but I could find it for the people that think that this is just a lie. There's a video of him interviewing with, I don't know, a news reporter put a mic in his face, and he said, well, there's a lot of, you think it makes sense to have all these F so-and-so signs? F so-and-so means him. He's seeing the F Biden signs. Even Biden's voters, the ones that do exist, they can't ignore these viral videos on social media of people chanting F Joe Biden by the tens of thousands, the young, impressionable minds that supposedly vote Democrat monolithically almost. Where are the 81 million? Where's the support? Anyway, he can't go to events like this. He can't go and just hang out with people. When he does, he gets harassed. He gets people voice their frustrations. But meanwhile, Trump, who they say is not so popular, he can do that. He can do it. And then also look at this. Look at this photo. Now, some could say, well, you don't have the context. He could have been saying something really polite and positive. I'm sorry, this looks really bad. This is unhinged. It looks like he's yelling at someone. Nobody in this photo is authentic. Nobody in this photo gives a damn about me, about you, about this country. They have no problem telling you that. They sell you out. Do we need to really even talk about the Clintons? Is it even worth mentioning the Clintons? Everybody knows who they are, what they've done. Hillary is despicable, uniquely unlikable. Nobody likes her. The Obamas are the first Hollywood presidency. I mean, he invited a bunch of just rich celebrities, entertainers, athletes. Everyone got to go meet Obama except for people who are actually struggling. And then, of course, you got the Martha's Vineyard birthday bash, which ended up being a super spreader event. While you're locked down, they're having elitist parties. So the Obamas kind of, just snobby elitists, whatever. They push the false narratives. Then you got the Bidens, corrupt to the core. These are all career politicians, every single one of them. And they're mad that Trump didn't go and pose for this fake photo op with this unhinged guy yelling. Doesn't even know he's there. Is he yelling play ball or something? We don't know. But that's a bad look, these optics. And they have no problem telling you how much they despise you. Here's George Bush using 9/11 to bash American citizens by comparing you, an American patriot who may or may not have been in D.C. on January 6th, to the Taliban. He's saying, you're akin to the Taliban. You're from the same foul spirit.
The security measures incorporated into our lives are both sources of comfort and reminders of our vulnerability. And we have seen growing evidence that the dangers to our country can come not only across borders, but from violence that gathers within. There is little cultural overlap between violent extremists abroad and violent extremists at home. But in their disdain for pluralism, in their disregard for human life, in their determination to defile national symbols, they are children of the same foul spirit, and it is our continuing duty to confront them.
The audacity. Skull and Bones Bush, cremation of care Bush, son of the guy who talked about the New World Order. And I think that was the first time anyone ever said it out loud on television. His father. Lots of wicked, you want to talk about foul spirit. I mean, there's a lot you could look into there with Mr. George W. Bush. Fool me once, fool me, you can't get fooled again. This guy is an idiot. I'm sorry. It's the truth. This guy thinks that, first of all, this is 9/11, the 20th anniversary of 9/11, where the guy who's currently in office just had a sloppy, poor withdrawal that left Americans stranded in a country in which you started a war in. You, George Bush, started a war on your weapons of mass destruction false narrative that the media propped up and sold on the public. That's you, George Bush. You've got the foul spirit and the audacity to compare what happened on September 11th, where people died in airplanes, got crushed to death by falling buildings, and then died years later because they inhaled all the fumes and toxins and pollutants in the air. So they died a slow death. Thousands of people, tens of thousands of people died. And then the war that ensued afterward, tens of thousands of more people to die, hundreds of thousands, who knows, maybe 1 million people. I don't even know. Lots and lots and lots and lots of people died because of you. Because of you. But you want to compare that to what happened on January 6th, where people took pictures and selfies in Nancy Pelosi's office, and the only person that died on that day as a result of what happened on that day was a Trump supporter. So people walking into a building that their taxpayer money pays for is worse than what happened on 9/11. And we're supposed to just take that. And this is constantly repeated. I mean, he's just repeating just some message that's been circulating since January 6th. This is the worst thing to happen since 9/11, Pearl Harbor, and the Civil War combined. Who believes that? That's what I want to know. Who still falls for that? Who looks in the mirror and says, you know what? January 6th was actually worse than anything that ever happened in American history. Worse than all the car bombs, Oklahoma City bombing, mass shootings at Virginia Tech and Columbine. January 6th was worse than all of those. Really. So he's just repeating a false narrative, but then also talking about, he said in here that people, what did he say? Defiled national monuments and all that. So completely ignoring what happened all last summer in this country, which was called mostly peaceful, right? 25 Black people, I think alone, were murdered in George Floyd peaceful protests last summer. They pulled down monuments. They torched police precincts. They used quick drying cement to try to trap employees in a federal courthouse. They tried to mass murder people last summer. They actually murdered people. David Dorn was murdered on Facebook Live in the midst of a Black Lives Matter protest, one which George W. Bush just fully endorsed. Mitt Romney locked arms with BLM protesters. I mean, they hate you. How else do you explain this man comparing you to Taliban terrorists, Al-Qaeda terrorists, or whoever, whichever terrorist, comparing American citizens to terrorists, while also completely ignoring, first endorsing, and then ignoring all of the carnage that followed the George Floyd situation? They hate you. They literally hate you. Next, he'll probably, I don't know what his stance is on the vaccine, but I can only imagine that he's just pushing the same establishment narrative. He just echoes those talking points. And then they're mad that Trump didn't take a photo with the guy. See, now here, let's get to some more positive. Look at this. Look at the smiling faces. Do you think he fears for his life? When he goes somewhere, people like him. He sees the opposite of what Biden sees. While they call it a cult, it's people realizing that this was one of the best presidents we've ever seen, the world has ever seen. We're talking about the most powerful country on earth. And we had one of the most popular and effective presidents in modern memory. So these are great photos where he actually went to the people who matter, you know, the first responders that are being demonized, defunded, attacked, murdered by people who voted for Joe Biden, people who Joe Biden supports. He called Antifa a myth and all of that stuff. I mean, look it. So this is how Trump spent his 9/11, surprising first responders. You love to see it. These optics, I'll take these optics over these optics, over elites that don't give a damn about you, started wars, grifted off of your tax money. They tell you how you should live. I'm sorry, I don't want to take any advice on how to live, how to raise my family, how to be a better person from Hunter Biden's dad who sniffs children. Sorry, I can't do it. And all the rest of these political snobs, these war criminals. I don't want these optics. I'll take these optics. Love to see it. All right, moving along. I want to play this clip of Trump at Ground Zero on 9/11 in 2001. This is Trump in New York City.
I've never seen anything like it. I've seen two huge 110-story buildings that are reduced to rubble, thousands and thousands of lives. I just got to see something that I've never seen before. I have hundreds of men inside working right now, and we're bringing down another 125 in a little while, and they've never done work like this before. And they're hardworking people, but they've never seen anything like it, and they've never done work like this before. It's terrible.
Tell me what it's like at Ground Zero. Tell me about the workers that you saw and what they're doing there.
Well, not only is it devastation, but it's very dangerous because every few minutes a whistle would go off and everybody would just run because you have all the buildings around it, which are in such a weakened state that people just don't know. And so they just have to take off. And then they come back and they're working under 50-story buildings that you don't know if they're going to fall down. So it's a terrible thing for the workers, and it's a terrible thing for the world, really.
How have you spoken to any of your men? Do you know how they're reacting to this? Because emotionally, this must be so incredibly difficult.
Well, there are a lot of them, but they've never seen bodies like this. I mean, the bodies all over. The great thing is when they find somebody that's alive, like the 5 firemen that they just found a little while ago. So that's the great thing, and that's what they're all striving for. But generally speaking, that's not the case. So they are working very, very hard, but it's a very depressing situation for these folks.
As you walked around and as you saw the piles of rubble, there are thousands of families out there who are hoping that someone might be in a pocket somewhere, still alive, still breathing, waiting to be dug up. As you assessed that damage from your perspective, do you believe that's possible?
Well, I would certainly not want to be the one to say it's not possible. Certainly it's a tough situation, but you can't give up hope because there's always hope. I mean, the 5 men, I'm sure their families thought that they probably were gone, and now they walk in the door. A couple of them walked away after they were dug out. So there probably are some more people in there, and therefore you can't give up hope.
You've had an impact on the skyline of New York. What is it like as you see it now?
It's like a whole different skyline. It's like a whole different city and world. I cannot believe the sight of Lower Manhattan without the World Trade Center, and therefore we have to rebuild, not necessarily in that form, but we have to rebuild at least as good and maybe better.
Where was George Bush on 9/11? Oh, he was in Florida in a school, just, hanging out. And the look on his face, said it all. Where was Hillary on 9/11? Where was she? Where were the Clintons? So they say they want to bash Trump because he didn't appear in this elitist photo for a photo op with people who hate him. But ever since September 11th, he has been helping American citizens. He sent people, first responders, in to help on 9/11. I mean, this is a real news clip. And this is when everyone loved Trump. This is when he was going on Oprah Winfrey and Donahue and everything was good. This was before all the black people who took photos with him realized he's actually a racist. Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali, Tupac, Michael Jackson, all the black celebrities, Jesse Jackson, everybody, before they realized, oh, you know what? Actually, he's racist. We're against him now. Nobody had any problems with him then. So just wanted to wrap with that little tidbit there from Trump. Now, moving on to COVID stuff, COVID news, the virus, the China virus. New York hospital to pause baby deliveries after staffers quit over vaccine mandates. You cannot make this stuff up. It's not about health. So now babies can't be born because they have a shortage of staffers that have to quit. Because as I've said many times, no offense to people who flip burgers and serve slices of pizza, but your job is easy to replace. But you can't just replace a doctor or a nurse. The people that were heroes last year who worked throughout the pandemic with no vaccine, saving lives, now find themselves jobless because they won't get Big Pharma's product. And it's got consequences to it, unintended or not. Baby deliveries are on pause because that's how it works, right? You just pause the delivery, you just hit the pause button on the belly button, and then we're pausing the download of this baby. Interesting. So I just want to read a little bit of it. An upstate New York hospital said it will pause the delivery of babies in 2 weeks because of a spate of resignations by maternity unit workers who are objecting to the COVID-19 vaccination mandates. You mean right-wing extremists who probably voted for Trump? That's what they don't want to say, but that's probably what they think. Anyway, Lewis County General Hospital in Lowville will temporarily stop delivering babies after September 24th. During a news conference on Friday, Lewis County Health System CEO said 7 of the 30 hospital workers who resigned were from the hospital's maternity ward. He added that another 7 maternity unit staffers were undecided about getting the vaccine. That's crazy. They can't just reverse course and be like, you know what, this is a mistake. They're like, well, I guess since they're going to resign, I guess we'll just fight it upstream and just have the babies not be born instead of doing the right thing and just allowing those people to make their own decisions about their health when they're probably smarter than people telling them to do it. This is some administration push, right? It's coming from people who aren't in the healthcare industry telling them, you got to get this jab or you're going to be fired. Really? Next, maybe you can fire some brain surgeons. You can fire some people who do blood transplants and heart transplants. Maybe you can fire them next because they won't get the jab. Maybe you could just nuke the whole healthcare system because people who are in that field have made a medical decision. Literally nobody smarter than them to make that decision. They decide they don't want to do it. And as a result, you force them to resign or you just outright fire them. If you're in the situation like this where you're being threatened to get the job or get the jab or lose your job, make them fire you. Why resign? Make every dollar you can before. Fight it to the very end. That's what I would do personally. Milk it for all you can. Continue showing up and refuse. Make them do the paperwork. Don't do the easy work. Don't give them a chance to try to backfill your position. Wait until the final minute. That's what I would do. This is just personally what I would do. I would drag it out. I would lie, be like, oh, sorry, I missed my appointment. Can I have another day? Can I have another day? Sorry. Oops, I left my proof of vaccination at home. I don't know. My dog ate it. I don't know. I lost it. Can you give me another shot? Make them fire you. Because then they got to go through the tiring work of trying to replace you and backfill you on short notice, as opposed to, well, I guess I'll put in my 2 weeks notice since I have to get this jab. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm just spiteful. I don't know. But I just feel like it would be in my best interest if it were me to just wait it out. I'm going to just wait it out. If they're going to fire me, they need to fire me. But I'm not going to just willingly resign and make it easier for them to try to replace me. But from this article, this is proof right here. You can't just replace some people. So now babies can't be born. You're going to hit the pause on deliveries. I'm assuming what will really happen, because I got to be honest here. They'll probably just reroute the deliveries to another hospital. But that's just going to bog down that system. And what happened at this hospital can happen at other hospitals and other hospitals. Next thing you know, a woman that's basically in labor might have to drive like 2 hours just to deliver her baby, or possibly do a home delivery. I mean, this is nuts. This is this headline, if you just think about how psychotic it is. Nurses and staffers are quitting their jobs because you're forcing them to get a shot. And as a result, babies can't be delivered at your hospital because you're so stubborn. You're just going to double down on your decision. Like, what else can we do to shuffle things around? Psychotic. Moving along. We got issues in California, you guys. All eyes on California. Tomorrow is the recall of Gavin Newsom vote officially. This video right here will surprise nobody that's paying attention. There's already funny business happening.
Court and Rick, this is quite a story. Good question. What is going on? We spoke with several concerned voters here in the West San Fernando Valley who believe something wonky had been going on at places like El Camino Real Charter High School in Woodland Hills. This place opened up as an early polling location, open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily, but several people tell us They showed up to vote this morning in the special California governor recall election and were told that computers showed they had already cast their ballots. So what? Staffers, they say, were apologetic and helpful, but those voters we talked to are extremely concerned, suspicious, and wanting answers. California native and current West Hills resident, 88-year-old Estelle Bender, spoke with us just a short time ago. What happened today and how shocked are you?
Very. I went to El Camino High School to vote, got there at 10:30, gave her this, and she scanned it and said, "You voted." And I said, "No, I haven't." And she said, "This has been happening all morning." The man next to me was arguing the same thing. So as I left, I did the provisional ballot and left. I was just really angry. And I saw two women walking toward me as I left. And I said, "Don't be surprised if they tell you you've already voted." And she said, "They've already done that." If I voted, how did I vote?
And who did you vote for?
Well, I asked the couple, the young women that I talked to, and I said, "Are you by any chance Republicans?" She said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, so am I." And so are the two friends that had the problem at VFW. So.
Makes you suspicious.
I would think so. And still, I'd like to know how I voted.
Wow.
All right, take a look. The LA County Registrar's Office released a statement tonight following our inquiries. A spokesman says the voters who experienced this issue were offered and provided a provisional ballot.
Guys, elections can't be rigged. What you just saw was not real. That was fake. That was right-wing misinformation brought to you by an extremist. Oh, what's going
really
on
intense.
Here? That stupid autoplay. My bad. That's, right-wing extremism. These are just Republicans making stories up. Elections can't be rigged unless a Republican wins. Then, yeah, it was Russia collusion or something else like that. That's why Stacey Abrams lost. She got cheated. That's why Hillary lost. She got cheated. But in this case, the fix is in. The fix is in. They're trying to steal this election from Larry Elder, who we know is way more popular than Gavin Newsom. The Gavin Newsom popularity is right on par with the Joe Biden popularity. He can't attend a public event. He can't go anywhere. Nobody's singing his praises. There's no murals painted of him. The people of California don't like him. And so what they're trying to do, on top of having all the endorsements and on top of having people like Kamala Harris go out to California to campaign for him, Elizabeth Warren, they're just sending a cast of cringeworthy characters. I mean, the lady who pretended to be Native American and the other lady who has such a just shrieking laugh. Nobody likes her. She's really fake. She lied about smoking weed, all of that. Locked up people, kept them in jail even after they should have been let out. You're sending those people to endorse this guy who has destroyed California, made it impossible for middle-class people to live. And the list just goes on and on. So that guy sucks, okay? He's awful. And so in order for him to win, you got to rig the election. And it's right here in front of you. I just played the video for the people that want to pretend that's not happening. It's not real. What about the ballots that I played? I played 2 weeks ago. They found a car full of ballots. Mail-in voting is the only way these people can win because their ideas are awful. As soon as you explain Democrat policies in detail to people and show them what it does long-term, most people be like, is there another option? Because I'm not really feeling this government dependence, cradle to grave. Let me hold your hand and treat you like a little puppy. People don't want that. So the only way that they can win is by cheating, lying, weaponizing the media, weaponizing social media, censoring their opposition. That's the only way they can win. Rigging elections, cheating, lying, deceiving people. That is what happens when you suck and your whole entire message is antithetical to freedom, antithetical to God. You have to rig elections. So we'll see what happens in California. We will see. It's not looking good, to be honest. I mean, if they've got all these ballots floating around, we saw what just happened last year in November. We saw that happen. We watched it unfold. So now tomorrow, we're gonna watch whatever happens in California unfold. All we can do is hope for the best. Hope that Larry Elder can prevail, because if we find out that there's like actually the majority of voters in California don't even want to recall Newsom, then you know that's a problem, because he's been doing all this damage control. They've been afraid. They've been afraid that they're going to lose. That's why they had to amp up their attacks, calling Larry Elder the black face of white supremacy. They sent out the woman in the gorilla mask to throw eggs. They got people out there assaulting him. But when he goes to his events, they're powerful. They got a lot of people there. People are excited and enthusiastic about him. They're afraid. That's why they got all these candidates. Joe Biden going out to campaign for Gavin Newsom. Shouldn't his record speak for itself? Why do you have to send all of these elitist career politicians out to endorse him? Try to brainwash and gaslight people. Newsom's doing a great job. Like, what do you even say when you go out there to campaign for him? What do you say? You have to lie and be like, he's actually doing something really great. Nobody has gotten more shot. That's what they have to do. They have to champion his handling of the pandemic. Look how vaccinated Californians are. Yeah, Californians are looking at the feces on the streets. They're looking at the taxes, the gas prices, the homelessness, the wildfires. That's what they're looking at. I mean, there are some sheep that are going to be like, well, he cares more about this one issue, so therefore I won't vote to recall him. They're afraid. They're deathly afraid. They are. And so they're going to try to steal this election. That's what they're trying to do. That's what that video was about, trying to steal it. So I'll leave it there. I don't want to talk in circles. Let me do this. Let me pull up the chat. Appreciate everybody for being here. You know, it's very interesting that for this channel to have only, what I got, like 3,000 subscribers, and I've got 40, I saw it peak at 45. I think I have 45 people watching, but on my main channel, which just surpassed 64,000 subscribers, I'd be lucky to get 150 to 200 people watching. But this channel is like 1% of that, and I get about half the viewers. But I think that something good will come out of this, because I kept this going. I've been building momentum. For those that have been following me for a long time, you know, I've been all over the place. I've done live streams from my work van. I've done them on the go. I've done pre-recorded videos. I've done collaborations. I've done everything all over the map. But not until the last month or so did I really hit my stride and become consistent, daily, hard-hitting. I've kind of hit my groove, kind of rhythm, and for them to try to pull the plug on my channel now just means I need to keep going full throttle. So make sure that you're subscribed to my backup channel. Make sure that you're subscribed to the main channel, because I will still be here on YouTube. That's not going to change. But also follow me on Odyssey. Follow me on Rumble. The stuff that I post on Rumble, it's gonna take some time for me to get. First, I need to figure out the live stream, because primarily what I do right now is live stream. And since I can't live stream on Rumble, the only way to get my content on Rumble would be if I download this and then upload it there, which I suppose I could do. It'd be fairly time consuming, especially for the longer streams. I could upload it there, but it's not. But if you think about the time and the effort that goes into doing that, it's not. I wouldn't even get 40 views. I got 40 people watching this right now, and there's going to be hundreds more that watch it later, just on YouTube. If I were to download this, save it, the time it takes to upload it to Rumble, I'd be lucky if it saw 40 views over the next month on Rumble. So I'm just saying that's part of the reason why I'm reluctant to try. I mean, honestly, I would live stream there if I could. I just can't live stream on Rumble. But that's why I'm reluctant to go the extra distance to try to upload things there. But I do still have a presence there. And if I do have pre-recorded videos or stuff that is too spicy for YouTube, I will put it on Rumble as well as Odyssey. So that's kind of just the gist of what's going on. That's why you haven't seen a lot on Rumble. And I think at some point, probably in the very near future, I will get back to some pre-recorded videos. And who knows, probably even some exclusive things. Like, I guess, I don't know, if I'm purposely spicy in a video, then it can be a Rumble exclusive. Like, oh, I really have this thing to say, but I can't say it on YouTube. So here it is on Rumble. Maybe that's a thing that I do. But just, I want people to know that that's a place to definitely follow me. Follow me on Rumble, Odyssey. If you just refuse to watch my content on YouTube, that's fine, because on my main channel, whenever I live stream, it automatically will go to Odyssey. So that's nice. And also on my main channel, anything that I do there, whether it's a live stream or a pre-recorded, it will automatically upload to BitChute. I see both of those as both I don't know, I guess like safe havens for my content so that it doesn't get removed. So if YouTube were to strike down my channel, God forbid, knock on wood, if YouTube were to strike down my main channel, completely remove it, all of my library of content would still exist on Rumble, or not Rumble, on Odyssey and BitChute. So that's the main thing. Thank you for putting the main channel in the chat. We'll be back there this weekend. I'm thinking Friday. I mean, the suspension ends on Friday. Actually, it might even end Thursday night. I don't really know what time. I think it's exactly to the time that they suspended it. It's to that time. So it's very possible that when I wake up on Friday, the main channel will be back. But either way, I'll be back on, on that channel by next week. Joe Kerr says Mike Nificent is the main channel. I'll get the link. Okay. Appreciate you all for being here. Shout out to anybody in Texas. I know there's a tropical storm going over there, and it's supposed to be a rainmaker. So I hope you're taking the necessary precautions to safeguard your home. And hopefully there's no devastation. And hopefully it's not too bad. And if it is too bad, I'm sorry. I'm praying for you. And if Biden happens to show up afterwards to tour the damage, you can let him know how you feel. He can't go anywhere, and he shouldn't be able to go anywhere without people lining the streets with Trump signs, flags, telling Biden how terrible he is, reminding him what he just did in Afghanistan while he's over there saying he's running out of patience with you because you won't do what he tells you to do. Remind him what he did in Afghanistan. Don't let him forget. Charles said, to quote Mark Levin, when Democrats win an election, it's a mandate. When they lose an election, it's illegitimate, according to them. Yeah, I mean, the double standards and the hypocrisy are just endless. It's almost pointless to even point it out. I mean, when you point it out, yes, it's important to highlight it. Yeah, I suppose. But it's kind of like preaching to the choir, in a sense, You're preaching to the choir. The other people, they see it, but they just don't care. I could literally play right now for friends. I still have friends, family that are on the left. I could play them hypocritical videos of Biden, of Pelosi, of other politicians. I can play them hypocritical clips from the media. It wouldn't matter. They'll be like, well, I don't get into politics. They'll find a way to deflect and not care. Well, I just don't get into politics. Or, wow, that's interesting. I'll have to look into it more. But they don't really want to look into it more. But then they'll turn right around and then send me a news clip or an article saying, hey, look at this. People are taking this horse paste, and now gunshot victims can't get seen in Oklahoma. Like, I just showed you how the news is fake, how the media is fake. And all by the way, that's been thoroughly disproven yet again. So people don't really, so it's like preaching to the choir, but then other people like, yeah, I saw it, don't care. Or they write it off somehow. They're like, oh, well, that's a deep fake. That's not real. It's kind of discouraging, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who finally can see what's happening. There are so many people. I mean, the college football stadiums, guys, that's full of what I assume would be Biden voters. I don't think that these college stadiums are full of stomp down conservative Republicans. I think these are people who are fed up and frustrated with the guy that they voted for. So that's good. Better late than never, even though you may have voted for him. Better late than never. But people who are just, they see how awful that this guy is. They don't like it. There's too many viral clips of him on social media being inappropriate with children, insulting people, racist comments, gaffes, tripping up the stairs, getting lost on the White House lawn, walking away randomly, blurting stuff out that nobody can decode. They're tired of it, and it's embarrassing. And they don't like his stance on the lockdowns, especially college students. I mean, you want to be free. Some of the best times of your life, some of the best years of my life were in college. The real experience was outside of the classroom. So they're upset, and they're like, no, we're going to just say F Joe Biden. And these videos are going viral. You can't ignore them. They're all over Facebook. They're all over Twitter. They're on TikTok. And this is only week 2 of college football. So this is the perfect backlash to them saying, look at these super spreader events. Why aren't they living in fear? It's our job to control what they think and believe. And right now we're telling them to think and believe that they should be afraid of this variant, that they're going to die, that they're going to kill someone's grandma. It's not working. The matrix is being shattered. The paradigm is shifting. We're seeing a rise of the real rise is not of new cases. The real rise is in populist backlash. You know, lots of people gathering, whether it's in France, the UK, Australia, Canada, which are far gone, but people are still trying to fight it, and the US. So if the UK can roll back their vaccine passports, why can't New York City? I'm sorry, why can't New York City make Bill de Blasio roll back the vaccine passports? It would take a concerted effort. It would take lots of people, coordination, but it can be done. It'd be so easy to defeat the system if people just stand together. Someone said, I'd love to see Mike get so hopped up just once and sounding like Salty Cracker. Mike is such a controlled person. Love you, Mike. I wouldn't say I'm a controlled person. I'm just who I am. If I sounded just like Salty Cracker, you wouldn't need to be subscribed to both of us, right? It wouldn't make sense because you would basically be getting the same person. I'm pretty even keel and calm. I do get passionate, but at the same time, I'm talking to you through a computer screen. You understand that, right? Like if we were all, let's say we were all gathered somewhere in public, let's say I was giving you guys a speech, I'm on a stage, then you would see more fire and passion in me get really like, I don't know, riled up. But it's hard to do it. Like I'm sitting alone in my office at my house. It just, I don't know. But that was an interesting comment. Thank you for the comment. Somebody said Trump is still president and the badass boss, God-loving, country-loving, patriot-loving. God-loving, country-loving, patriot-loving. Huh. I get what you're saying. That was a weird. Maybe I just read it weird. But anyway, Trump he looks presidential. He looks the part. The way that he spoke, the way that he speaks, the way that people respond to him, the way he's receptive to feedback, the way people are receptive to what he has to say, the way his interactions with people, just the common man, the average everyday American, those interactions feel natural and organic. And the fact that he is some billionaire, wealthy guy, he's more in touch with the average everyday person than these so-called public servants, these elected officials. They're more out of touch than a billionaire. And the people who like run PR for this establishment machine, these elites, they are so out of touch too. They're out of touch with the majority of the country. So they're just trying to maintain what little control they have over the brainwashed people who believe these headlines. Trump is absent from 9/11 memorial. Why is he the only former president not there? Right? They're just trying to keep their their sheep, their followers in a bubble. That's what it is. They just want to keep their sheep and followers in a bubble, a partisan bubble. Like, yeah, look at that orange man. Why is he not there? But they don't even think to look outside to see, like, well, where was he instead? Oh, he took photos and he was actually talking to the first responders in New York City. Oh, okay. And he gave speeches. I don't know if Biden gave a speech. Biden was upset that he saw too many F Biden flags and signs. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. Not only is he seeing it, he doesn't ignore it anymore. He acknowledged it. It's happening. It's a real thing. So you mean to tell me as Biden goes through Pennsylvania, where he got booed, he goes to Pennsylvania, a state he supposedly won. The one thing that sticks out to him in this swing state that he supposedly won is that there's a lot of Trump supporters that are not happy he's there. Why wouldn't he be greeted with, "We love you, Biden. We love everything that you've done. Thank you for saving our country. Thank you for building back better"? Why isn't he greeted with pro-Biden signs? I'm just saying, especially in a state that he supposedly won, Pennsylvania. You would think that would be the place where you would see more Biden supporters than Trump supporters. But no, everywhere he goes, he's met with Trump supporters. And not even just Trump supporters, people who don't like him, people who voted for him, but they're disappointed in what he's done. That's how it needs to be. That's how it should be. People need to be out, make it so impossible to ignore. As people begin to wake up, as other things happen and unfold, and they start to see, like, well, dang, maybe he didn't really get 81 million votes. There are people out there that still believe he's the most popular president in U.S. history. All the while, Trump can go anywhere right now. He could announce a rally right now in the most liberal area in the country. He could announce a rally in New York City. It wouldn't be safe because there's a lot of demons out there. There's a lot of evil, a lot of people that oppose his message. But I'm telling you, he could get thousands of people. He could get Yankee Stadium packed to the brim. He could go to any liberal city and get tens of thousands of supporters, and he could announce it the day before and get lines around the block. Biden couldn't plan it weeks in advance with all kinds of promotion and tweets. He couldn't get 50 people to show up. That's the reality of it, y'all. So I guess I've ranted long enough. Oh, we got 50 people watching now. Thanks if you just tuned in. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about Skull and Bones Bush taking a shot at MAGA, taking a shot at you, the American patriot that loves your country. According to this guy who started the war, by the way, you're worse than he is. He started a war he has not apologized for. The weapons of mass destruction thing, yeah, that wasn't really true. But yeah, Skull and Bones Bush, Bohemian Grove Bush, cremation of care, mock sacrifice, weird demonic stuff. That George Bush, he compared you to the Taliban or to Al Qaeda. You're from the same foul spirit, in his words. You're from the same foul spirit as a terrorist who blew up people on 9/11. And also, January 6th is the worst thing to happen on American soil, where only Ashley Babbitt, a Trump supporter, was killed. That is worse. Them entering the Capitol building, that's worse than molten hot concrete and airplanes crushing people in New York City. Their words. You can find the tweets. You can find all these journalists, reporters, people on CNN have said that it's worse than 9/11. And then for them to do it on the day, on the 20th year anniversary, is disgraceful. As people are still stranded in Afghanistan, we left the Taliban all of our military equipment, Apache helicopters, Black Hawk helicopters, AR-15s, the guns they're trying to take away from you, they just gave to the Taliban. You can't make this stuff up. So we talked about that. We talked about how Trump showed up to meet first responders instead of taking a photo op with these globalist, elite, former presidents and first ladies, these corrupt career politicians who don't like him anyway, and they don't like you. I mean, talked about that. They're not delivering babies anymore because nurses have to resign because they're not getting the jab. So rather than these hospitals reversing course, realizing it was a mistake to force their healthcare workers to get a jab. They're just like, well, let's just reroute the incoming babies that are supposed to be born here. Since we have a staffing shortage, let's just route them somewhere else. Talked about the college football stadiums, how they're not really happy with Biden, and they're making it known. And it's not just there, it's concerts, it's all kinds of events that I'm seeing. Talked about how you get woke, you go broke. Unlike the DeBerry Diner here in Florida, which I still need to go check out, they're running out of food because they've been so busy. Business booms so hard that they run out of food. That's the opposite of get woke, go broke. All they did was take a stand and say, we don't really want Biden. People who stand with Joe Biden don't need to come here. And imagine that. You announce that, you alienate half of what would be half of your customer base, and you see your money go up. Your revenue goes up. Your revenue goes up when you endorse that message. And then on the opposite end, if you endorse a political left-wing message, your sales numbers plummet. But they want you to think that endorsing a left-wing message, that is what's really popular. That's what resonates with the American people. That's what's really propelled Joe Biden to his victory of 81 million plus. But the data doesn't show it. The reality doesn't show it. You go to any state in the country, if Biden is announcing that he's going to be there, he'll be met with Trump supporters. He'll be met with people that have F Biden signs and other messages for him. Whether you agree with the F Biden sign or not, it's people voicing their disapproval for the least popular president probably in American history. Not the most, the least popular. So, yeah, man, I think I covered it all, y'all. I don't know. I could keep going, but I suppose I should just wrap up because I've said everything I need to say. The narrative. Trump visited NYPD and the fire department. I think there was something else I wanted to say, actually, but it just slipped my mind. So I'm kind of stalling just a little bit to see if it pops back in. There's another news story today that was pretty popular or something that just came out. Oh, yeah. I talked about how the election rigging is already happening in California. It's already happening. People showing up to cast their ballot in the recall election of Gavin Newsom are being told that they already voted. And the people who have had this happen to them just also so happen to be Republican. They just so happen to be of Republican descent. Wow, what a coincidence that would be happening. But elections cannot be rigged. They just simply can't. I swear there was another story. Somebody please help me out. Please help me out. I don't know what it is. I think it's almost related to COVID. I'm not sure. COVID and the jab. Here it is. Okay. Yes. Supposedly, and I should pull this up right now. It took me a while for it to come to my head. Supposedly, illegal immigrants aren't being told that they have to get the jab, which that should come as no surprise to anybody. We probably already knew that. But now I believe it's official. Let me see if I can find it right now. Illegal immigrants vaccine. I'm pretty sure they don't have to get it. Psaki stands by having employer vaccine mandate while illegal immigrants get a pass. So we're in this public health crisis, but they're cherry picking who has to get the shot. But also, we should take them seriously. While they play these partisan games and tell you, you're the one that's causing more death, you're the one politicizing the virus, you're the one spreading misinformation. They're telling you, yeah, if you're of a sophisticated elite class, you're not spreading the virus. If you're an illegal immigrant, you don't have to get the vaccine. It's the people we despise, that middle American core, the rubes in this country. Jab your arm. Yep, illegals don't have to get the vaccine, but you do. Per Jen Psaki. Yeah, illegal immigrants excluded from Biden's $80 million, $80 million. Illegal immigrants excluded from Biden's 80 million person COVID vaccine mandate. So this is probably from last week. I don't know how I'm just now hearing about it, but yeah, that's a thing that's happening that you're supposed to just ignore and act like it's all good. Yeah. They are the replacement, somebody said. Yeah, that is for sure. That's what it is. By the way, the border's still open. The border is still open. We're in a public health emergency, but the border is still open to people who are unvaccinated, unmasked. They can go anywhere they want in the country, register to vote, all that stuff. And then we're bringing people over from Afghanistan. We don't know their medical history, their status, any variants they might be carrying, on taxpayer dime too, But you, the American that they despise because you're a domestic terror threat and you're a drag of society and deplorable and all that, you got to do what they say, but they're going to do the opposite of what they're telling you to do. All I can say is bring back Trump. That's what helps bring back Trump. That's what helps. So many more people are going to vote for Trump when he eventually announces he's running again. We all know it's happening. He knows it's happening. He got asked over the weekend at his 9/11 speech. One of the questions was asked to him was, do you plan on announcing? I don't remember how they worded it. And he's like, oh, I know what I'm going to be doing. I just don't know if it's a good thing to say it right now. We all know what that means. We all know he's going to run again. How many people who were on the fence about voting for him before will vote for him now? Right? It boggles the mind that they didn't want to vote for him in 2020 after his record, after low gas prices, high stock market, low unemployment, peace in the Middle East, right to try, all of the stuff he did, helping out the HBCUs, everything that he did. If that wasn't enough to get them to vote for him, some of them were still like, well, I don't like his rhetoric on Twitter, or I don't like some of these things he said, whatever. Now they've got a chance to see what it's like for the guy they thought would be better. And for those that are honest enough to admit that their life sucks worse, at the very least, they have less money in their wallet. Who can say, I actually have more money under Joe Biden as you pay more at the pump? Who can say that with honesty? Right? All those people, there's going to be a lot of them that decide, you know what? Trump wasn't so bad. That's all we were ever really saying in the first place. Trump's not that bad. Nobody's saying you got to love him. Nobody's saying you got to put on a MAGA hat. I mean, I think he's pretty great, but you don't have to love him to realize he was the best thing to happen to this country. And I think a lot of people see that, especially now that they get to see what their guy is doing. Mr. Build Back Better. I sure missed those mean tweets, somebody said. Yeah, me too. The mean tweets were getting it done. We need the mean tweets back. Someone said Congress doesn't either. Congress doesn't what? I don't know what you mean. What did I say that we like Congress doesn't either? Do you mean Congress doesn't care about us? Yeah, that would be factually true. Congress does not care about us. They don't give a damn about us. But yeah, I would love it if more people would put on their show, like put it on display how much you despise Biden, or how much, just put it on display that so people know, like, hey, I'm one of those people that didn't vote for Biden. It's one thing if people support Trump and they wear like MAGA stuff, that's cool. But if you have on a Biden, like, I seen the Trader Joe shirt, Trader Joe, then you're showing it's almost a way to really just put on display how many people just don't support this man. But you got 81 million. Make it known. And we'll see what happens with this vaccine mandate, because it's still very new. I know that attorney generals from at least like 28 states or something like that have issued statements saying that they're going to fight this tooth and nail. I have not seen anything about corporations saying they're going to fight it, other than like the ones that you would expect, right? Conservative outlets, the Blaze or whatever. I know there's some companies that are small really small that are saying that they're just going to figure out a way to trim their staff down to under 100, which I think is personally a mistake. I think you should really fight it instead of complying, because that's basically you complying. I think you should fight it. Be like, I'm going to keep all my employees employed instead of, capitulating and firing somebody so that I'm below the threshold or whatever. But I don't know. We'll see how this happens. We'll see what goes. I'm happy to be in a state where I already know that it's going to be fought. I don't even have to think about it. What's my governor going to do now that Biden announced this authoritarian mandate? I don't have to worry about it. But some people do. And so we'll see what happens there. I think now's the time to put more pressure on the elected officials in your state to see what they're going to do, what their plans are. If that means that you got to go protest at their office, if you got to make phone calls, if you got to show up, because the state and local people, they're easier to contact. They're more accessible than your congressman or senator way up in Washington, D.C. It's the people that are in your county, your city, your local jurisdiction. Those are the people that need to be primaried if they're not on board with this America First, Freedom First agenda. Those are the people you got to find. Oh, no jabs for the Congress. That's what. Okay, gotcha. Yes. So no jabs for illegal immigrants and no jabs for Congress. Just like Congress wrote themselves out of Obamacare. Do people know that? They didn't have to do the Obamacare thing. They have their own healthcare plan. People in Congress also get their student loan debt. I think they get it absolved or whatever. They got all kind of little special perks and privileges. I mean, if we're just being totally honest here, there's a lot of perks to joining government, to being part of the system. The problem is you got to sell your soul to see that as something that's good. And there are very good people in government. Obviously, there's some really good people. People like Rand Paul, I think, are pretty solid. Ron Paul, his father, really good person in government. Somebody that has a moral compass that doesn't point towards greed and corruption and keeping the people down for their own, personal gain. But yeah, so Congress doesn't have to worry about mandatory shots. The post office doesn't have to worry about mandatory shots, and illegal immigrants don't have to worry about mandatory shots, but you do. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I completely forgot about it. Spaced it. Mandates are not laws. You are correct. That's why people should not comply. What else did I talk about? I talked about how some of those positive headlines. The Supreme Court, because they have not struck down the Texas abortion bill, people are panicking that Roe versus Wade is going to be overturned, which is a great thing. I think that's good news. There's two ways to read that headline, depending on who you are. If you're pro-death, if you're pro-infant death, then that freaks you out. But if you're pro-life, then you're happy. You're happy at the thought of Roe versus Wade being overturned. Don't let them call you an anti-abortion activist ever. There's no such thing as anti-abortion. There's no such thing as pro-choice. It's pro-death. It's life or death. You're pro-life or you're pro-death. There's no, well, we're just choice. Choice means death. You support a woman's choice to murder her child. So it's pro-choice. There's no anti-abortion. You're not anti-abortion because life is what happens natural. It's naturally occurring. That's the default setting of humanity. Life. Life is the default setting. To preserve it, to foster it, to raise people. Animals do it. They raise their young. Life is the default setting. Death is the opposition. Death is anti-life. So I don't even use their little pro-choice and all that stuff. Planned Parenthood. No, not doing it. But anyway, don't want to get on a tangent. Texas, the headline read, in Texas, Roe v. Wade is dead, and that could soon happen nationwide. And I thought that was a great news story. Oh, thank you so much for putting my links in there, DM. for my PayPal, Patreon, Venmo. I have Cash App too. Thank you so much. I forget to promote that stuff. And that's actually how I pay my bills. I just trust that people, if it's on their heart, if God puts it on their heart, then they will help me to, pay my bills. Take care of my son. His food is free right now, but at some point it won't be. I can't chest feed forever, guys. I can't. I mean, you see how flat my chest is. I cannot chest feed that much longer. So he's going to need some real food soon. I'm just joking, but yeah, man. I mean, my watch is telling me that I've been sitting too long and I need to go stretch and work out. So I should probably wrap this up. Wow, we're at an hour and 15 minutes. But the thing is, the longer I go live, the more people join. So, but the thing is, I don't want people to join and just hear me just randomly just saying stuff when I covered all the news topics at the beginning. But yeah, I'm a chest feeder. Don't you dare laugh at me. I'm allowed to think that, okay? I am a chest feeder. Okay. Didn't you ever see the video where this couple, I don't know, it's just it makes my skin crawl to even like talk about it, but there was a couple, a man and a woman couple, right? But they flipped roles. So the woman became a man and the man became a woman. They had a baby, or they adopted a baby, and the man, because he, in his mind, he's a woman, he actually put the infant to his chest to chest feed. It was a news story. I want to say Vice or somebody like that covered it. How sick is that? That's almost like a sexual thing. I think that needs to be investigated. You putting a baby to your chest as a male for the baby to then, like, you're scarring that child. That's just so sick and wrong. But that's why I made a joke about it, because I'm like, they say, oh, chest feeding and father's milk and human milk and stuff, really weird things that they're promoting. And while, some people who are, I guess, more agnostic or just nonchalant about some of these headlines and stories would say, like, whatever, it's just words. They don't really have any meaning. It's just things. It's like, yeah, they have a ton of meaning when you're educating the youth to think that that's normal. They're implying that, when they say birthing person and chest feeding, they're implying that men can get pregnant, have birth. And Julian Castro, when he ran for president, said that they should be allowed reproductive rights. So not only can men get pregnant and have babies, they can have abortions if they want. That's what a guy running for president said. And once the baby is born, they can chest feed it. I'm sorry. That's so beyond weird and creepy, and it's abusive. So anyway, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. I was just kind of ranting. It's just all the stuff. It just feels like, the world is Satan's playground. All of this inversion of reality, the subversion of truth, the preying on the youth, preying on children, elitist, warmongering, globalist, corrupt career politicians thumbing their nose at you because you don't do what they tell you to do. They want to shame you for living an ordinary life while they live an extravagant life. People are tired and fed up with it. So rebel, rebel, rebel. Resist. I used to say a long time ago, probably 3 years ago, when I first got involved in this political movement, and I would see people with Trump signs or anti-Trump signs and hashtag resist. I used to be like, why are you resisting? Focus on what you want. And there's a point to be made for that. I didn't get that whole resistance. Now I get it. I get why you resist. Now I don't know what they were resisting. Trump was just trying to put more money in people's pockets and do what's right for the country. So I don't know why they were resistant to that. But now we actually have something to resist. There is a time and a place to resist. You resist mandates. Yes, you still focus on freedom. Focus on that. Focus on freedom. Focus on truth, light, love, happiness, all of that. But you also need to resist. You got to resist the tyranny. You got to hold it off. You got to keep it at bay. Joe said, I need to invite you to Rants with Rogers next season. You would do great. I've never heard of that. But yeah, I could honestly just do a live stream where I rant, and I actually am planning to do that. I think what I'll do going forward is I'll do later live streams on Fridays. So like Friday night something where people who, because the audience would be a lot bigger, honestly. If I were to go live, say 8 p.m. Eastern, most people are home from work. You know, they're winding down, ready for the weekend. They can tune into it casually. Maybe, and it's an evening time, so it should be just prime time, more people to tune in. And I could just rant. Oh, and one other thing too. There's a Trump rally coming up in Perry, Georgia on September 25th. So that's not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday. So I'll be there in Perry, Georgia. Make sure you tune in for that. Tune in. I can't talk now. Tune in for that. Or if you're in Perry, Georgia, I think it's a little bit south of Atlanta. Just hope to see you there. But for real, guys, I got to wrap up. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Please make sure that you all give this a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up. YouTube is probably going to suppress this live stream, like it will not be available on my channel right away afterwards. Share it anywhere you can. Let people know that. I think the suspension on my main channel will be done by this Friday, but we'll see. I don't know. They might even extend it. Who knows? I don't know what really goes on with YouTube. But anyway, God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in tomorrow's stream. 12 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back to 12 p.m. Eastern.